Okay, so when you heard about the attack in the terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado, what names came to mind? I can tell you what names didn't come to mind. I didn't think of Tim. I didn't think of Tom. I didn't think of Betty. I didn't think of Tyrone. You know what I'm saying? I knew that it was going to be somebody with the name of like a Muhammad. Oh, ironically, it was just that. Guys, I'm here to tell you, listen, I think that Jews need to be armed. I think that Jews need to watch their back inside of the United States of America. But I don't think it's just Jews alone. Guys, remember, you know that poem by Niemöller, First They Came for the Communists? I'm going to go through that momentarily. Guys, these people are coming for all of us, and we need to be aware of it. We're going to talk about the religion of peace. We're going to talk about these terrorist attacks that are happening against Jews. And again, they're coming your way too. So everybody be prepared. You are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. This is your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. I know everybody has talked about this, but I haven't talked about it. And I've got so many topics that I do want to talk about, but I do want to focus on this conversation and this particular topic for the sake of this show, and we're titling it "Incinerating Jews" because that's what we witnessed. There was an excellent article in National Review that I'm going to go through momentarily here, but we watched a second incineration of Jews where a man literally tried to do it in the street, or actually did it on the street of Boulder, Colorado, right in front of the faces of many people. A guy pretended to be a landscaper, wore an orange vest, had a backpack full of gasoline. Apparently, he didn't suspect to and walk away alive. And frankly, he shouldn't have walked away alive. But them's the breaks, I guess, in Boulder, Colorado. Absolutely insane. Guys, the global intifada, it has come to the United States of America. It's here. It's been here for quite some time. I think we've been ignoring it. And I think it's grown exponentially since Biden's open borders, or the auto pens open borders. That is going to be another topic that I'm going to cover in great detail and specificity later on this week, because I think a lot of people are being distracted by this Jake Tapper book, which, let's face it, is tantalizing and exciting, even though he's a big hypocrite and was complicit in the cover up. But people are, for some reason, I want to know who the heck the president was for the last 4 years. So that's something that we need to talk about. And that's a story that keeps coming to mind and should not go away. So I'll make sure that I talk about that. Okay, so here's the Niemöller poem. You guys, I'm sure, remember this poem. And I want you to understand, first they came for the Jew, okay? All right, I want you to keep that in your mind, because what we're witnessing are patterns of anti-Semitism. And I think Americans are going to rest on their laurels. So sadly, this is what happens. And we believe that this won't happen to us. Just like Jews in America probably believe that this type of anti-Semitism that we're seeing, that we're witnessing on college campuses, would not happen to them. And yet it is happening. And then all of you Christians like myself, even secularists, you have to understand what Islamists believe, the religion of peace, if you will. These are people that are told that they can lie, taqiyya. These are people that will read not just the Quran, but the Hadith, a book of rules, and they will try to get over on you. This is not a religion that is compatible with Western civilization. I know there's reformers out there. They don't get much attention. What they intend to reform, I'll be honest with you, I don't quite know. All we can hope we can hope for the best, and hope that a lot of these people within the Islamic community remain basically like, what do you call it? Carnal. There's carnal Christians. We got to hope for carnal Islamists. That's what we've got to hope for. Here's the Niemöller poem just to refresh you. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. By the way, can't stand communists, can't stand socialists, but this has a great point. All right. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. And I think this is so apt. And I think this is a poem that we have to keep in mind, because again, I don't believe that they're just coming for the Jews. When you think about Islam, when you think about the religion of peace, this is a religion that wants to take over. And guys, this isn't the only attack. There was an attack same day, June 1st, at least 30 are killed when Al-Qaeda linked gunmen storm a local security base. We know of the attack that happened in Boulder, Colorado, an Egyptian national throws a Molotov cocktail into a rally for Israel, actually a couple. In Nigeria, 9 souls waiting on a bus are sent to Allah by Boko Haram bombers, more Islamists. On this is 5/29, May 29th, a baby delivered from a woman killed by Palestinian terrorists dies weeks later. That was in Israel. In Niger, some 44 local troops are ambushed and murdered by Katiba Hanifa jihadists. And so we think of these stories from the Religion of Peace, and we're like, Carl, those are in different countries. No, it's here now. May I remind you of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania? May I remind you of Washington, because I'm going to do just that. We did get some good news when it comes to this Boulder terrorist. When it comes to this Boulder terrorist, his entire family has been taken into custody and it will be investigated. We'll get into highlights of that later. We'll talk about that as well. But let me take you back. Again, there was a great article on National Review, and I want to get started on it. It reads as like this. First Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and then Washington, and now Boulder. Hamas's war against the Jews has come to America. So the perpetrators of these attacks may not have been Hamas members per se, but their worldview and their agenda are basically the same. They're indistinguishable from Hamas, and they carry on the perpetrator. The cherry on the top, is that the Egyptian perpetrator, was a nationalist, right? Or an Egyptian national, I should say. This was a guy that should not have been in the country whatsoever, and yet he was. And we'll get to that momentarily. But these people are evil. And what you have to understand is evil is amongst us. This column says there are monsters amongst us. I don't like when writers use that term. Specifically when it comes to conservative writers. And I don't like when conservatives use the term people of color, because I think you buy into a narrative and that the left wants you to buy in. And then when you say monsters, I think you buy into a narrative that, frankly, Satan wants you to buy into. Whoa, Carl, that's a little harsh. Why would you say something like that? See, when you use the term monsters, I think you eliminate the possibility that people are just evil, and people can be evil. And you like to pretend as if something is such an aberration that it doesn't happen frequently, or that it can't happen frequently. I can go through this website of Muslim Islamic terrorist attacks just in the last month, and the numbers will scare the living bejeebers out of you. This is not an aberration. What we've seen is not an aberration. What these people experienced in Boulder, Colorado is not an aberration. And Americans need to get used to this. I'm also going to talk about a little later on. I want to do a podcast separately on Zelensky, because a lot of people, conservatives, every single one that I've heard, are very concerned that Zelensky is quite possibly going to start World War III. We're already there. We're already in it. Unfortunately, I think Americans have been so guarded. Americans have been so blessed. Sometimes we can't recognize evil when it's in our face. Sometimes we can't recognize a war when it's in our face. I think because I grew up in the hood. I don't know what it is. I don't know, man. I'm able to see big picture. And I feel like sometimes conservatives get this wrong. And I love all my conservative brothers, don't get me wrong. But I just think many of them are off on these couple of topics. But I don't use the term monsters simply because you have to understand that they're evil. And once you understand or that evil exists, and once you understand that evil exists, you're more apt to watch your back. I'm telling you and the listening audience, I hope that you heed this podcast. I've got more that I'm going to get to. We only have a minute and a half before I got to take a quick break here. But I've got more that I want to get to. But I want you to heed this podcast. There's evil in the world. There's evil that lurks around you. I don't want you to be a paranoid schizophrenic, but I want you to understand that you should protect yourself. It's not just Jews. I saw Gutfeld last night, and Tyrus got it right. He's the only person, literally, that I've heard say it. what I was thinking. I wish I would have put it out on Twitter first, so that I would beat them to it. But I heard a lot of people opining on how Jews need to watch out, and I'm sitting there thinking it's not just Jews. Think about the Niemöller poem that I just read you. It is everybody. It is everybody. So remember, this terrorist. This terrorist was an Egyptian national. He overstayed his visa thanks to the Biden administration. Also, you got CNN and former FBI Director Andrew McCabe warns that the FBI was rushing to judgment. We'll play some of that audio for you as well. It's absolutely insane. I'll tell you why that's dangerous. The combination of CNN and Andrew McCabe, former FBI deputy director, talking nonsense, warning that the FBI is rushing to judgment. Please shut up. This is a guy that rushed to judgment when it came to President Trump. This is a guy that rushed to judgment when it came to J6ers. I don't want to hear anything from Andrew McCabe except for a prison door slamming behind him, quite frankly, and him asking, how many years did I get again? That's all I'd like to hear from Andrew McCabe. All right, guys, you are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. Appreciate you tuning in. All right, guys, let me talk to you real quick about mypillow.com. As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. And he didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. So Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dream bed sheets, any size and any color, for just $49.98. That's right. You can even get queens, kings, split kings, cow kings, any size, any color, just $49.98. Order now, because when they're gone, they are gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you will receive $100 in free digital gifts. All you have to do is call 1-800-858-0263. Use the promo code Carl. That is CARL. I don't spell it like the communists. Go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code Carl, CARL, for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dream Sheets, any size, any color. The number again, 1-800-858-0263. Promo code Carl. All right, so welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in. Again, please subscribe to my podcast anywhere you go to get your podcast: Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble. YouTube and Rumble, please subscribe, rate, review. That'll help out tremendously. Salem Podcast Network, again, wherever you go to get your podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. X, Instagram, and Facebook, por favor. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can go to find me. All right, and we got plenty of video that I want to play for you as well momentarily. So Gabe has his hands on the trigger. But I want to show you that what we're experiencing in the United States of America is not an aberration. And sadly, I believe that we're going to experience more attacks like this. Not just Jews, Christians, they're coming for us. I hope you're prepared. Be ready. Man, I need to get in better shape. There's no doubt about it. But you can bet your bottom dollar, wherever I am and where I can carry, I'm carrying. I'll just be straight up with you. Carl, you shouldn't say that. I want you to know. You ain't gonna take me out like you're not gonna take me out like that. It's not gonna happen like that. And I'm not gonna sit idly by and watch a group of people being burned to death. God forbid. I never want to see anything like that. Hope I never have to witness anything like that. But if I do witness something like that, I want to be prepared. I want to be prepared to save life. I hope that I would have the courage to do just that, to step in and to save life. I would hate to be somebody that sat there and all I can do is bring burning bodies a bunch of water. And these people did the best they can. I'm not knocking them. But guys, it is time to be aware of your surroundings, and it is time to protect yourself, because the left are creating violent people, not just these Islamists that are being radicalized, I'm sure, online and by left-wing media and by the fact that they adhere to a demonic religion, in my opinion. But they're being radicalized by the left. And I think they're being radicalized intentionally so, because this is the left. This is the left. And the Islamists know that they can penetrate the left, if you will, and feel right at home in doing so. So just think about all of the things. All right. First, let's talk about the evil that's amongst us. Again, this guy, Molotov cocktails. All right. Because he wants, these people were what were they doing? They were basically protesting, not even protesting, but they were out there marching with signs because they wanted the hostages, the remaining hostages in Gaza, to be released. And this evil person felt like they had to burn. They had to burn. As a matter of fact, he said, quote unquote, they must burn. So these people, many of them, because they were elderly, they survived the Holocaust, some of them, they lived to a ripe old age. And then you have some evil person that wants to incinerate them again, almost like a second Holocaust, right? That's what the writer from National Review states, and I love the way he said that. He's absolutely right. But this time, on the streets of the United States of America, an attempt to incinerate you a second time for being a Jew, he writes, right here in America. So we'll go through it. You had Governor Josh Shapiro's residence, because this is an aberration. And again, this isn't just going to happen to Jews, and this is why we should speak out. There are left-wing, there are right-wing conservative, quote-unquote, commentators that think Jews deserve it, that think Jews don't run everything. They own everything, as if America isn't the land of opportunity where you can get ahead as well. It's absolutely insane to me. It's also further proof that Jews are God's people, God's original people. I'm happy to be grafted into the family through the blood and sacrifice of my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It's insane to me that people think this way. But listen, you conservatives that are out there spreading this anti-Semitic nonsense too, they're going to come for you too. They're going to come for you too. Some of these guys are still wet behind the ears, so they don't really understand what's going on. So you first had Governor Josh Shapiro's residence. That was just less than, 2 months ago, where you had this guy that attempted to burn the mansion with the governor inside. The Dauphin County District Attorney's Office released the audio of the arsonist calling 911 and declaring, quote, Governor Josh Shapiro needs to know that Cody Balmer will not take part in his plans for what he wants to do to the Palestinian people. This is the governor of Pennsylvania, you moron. He has nothing to do with foreign policy in Israel and Gaza. Here's the criminal complaint against Balmer, the guy that tried to set the governor on fire. Prior to interviewing Balmer, he was advised of Miranda warnings. Balmer advised that he understood his rights and agreed to speak with troopers during this interview. Balmer admitted to harboring hatred towards Governor Shapiro. He also advised that prior to committing these acts, he was aware his actions would result in negative consequences. They don't care about this. This is a just cause for them. This is why this won't slow down. These people, the left, and Islamists as well, have created people that believe they're moral for violence, for performing violent acts. When asked if he was aware that Governor Shapiro and others were home at the time of his act, Balmer advised that he was aware that was a possibility. He also admitted that he knew it was a possibility people could be injured by his actions. He was asked specifically what he would have done if Governor Shapiro was found inside of his residence, and he said he would have beaten him with his hammer. So I'm just taking you back. Some of you may remember this, but I'm just taking you back. The search warrant included the search warrant for Balmer's residence declared police were looking for, quote, any and all cell phones, laptops, tablets, electronic devices that could store or transmit data, any writings or notes that contain any of the following: the name of Josh Shapiro, reference to Palestine, Gaza, Israel, the current conflict in Gaza, so on, etc. All right. Then we have the shooting. You guys remember the shooting that occurred in Washington, D.C. It was just a week and a half ago that a nut job. Actually, let me take that back. Not a nut job. Bad host. All right. This is why I say they're coming for you. They're coming for you. This story in Washington, D.C. that occurred a couple of weeks ago, where you had this ideologue that hated Jews. He gunned down Yoren Lashinsky and Sarah Lynn Milgram, cold blood, as they left the young diplomat's reception of the American Jewish Committee in Washington, D.C. That was Elias Rodriguez. Elias Rodriguez went to I believe it was the University of Chicago or the University of Illinois. I believe it was the University of Chicago. He stated to the Maryland Police Department, once he was cuffed, I did it for Palestine. I did it for Gaza. I am unarmed. He was holding a red scarf identified by one witness as a, what is it? Kaffieh? Kaffieh? Kaffieh. as Maryland Police Department officers were escorting Rodriguez from the museum. He also shouted "Free Palestine." You guys remember that? All right, so he's captured on video. These are details of the gruesome crime. I want you to understand what these people went through, and I want you to understand this is a left-wing radical. This is a guy that would do this to you just as much as if he that just as much as he would do it to Jews. Imagine if the media started turning their ire against Christians. Imagine if white men or conservative women, these people would do it to you. The left is raising up killers, not just violent people. They're raising up killers. That's why I say we need to stand for the Jews, because they're going to come for us too. As a matter of fact, in some ways, they already have. I'm going to jog your memory momentarily here. All right. So again, Rodriguez captured on video, extending both of his arms in the direction of the now deceased, firing several times. They could tell by the flash of the muzzles. Once the now deceased fell to the ground, Rodriguez is captured on video moving closer to the now deceased, to his victims, leaning over with his arm extended, firing several more times. As one of the victims attempted to crawl away from Rodriguez, this was the female victim, he followed behind her, fired again. After a brief moment, Rodriguez appeared to reload his firearm. Yeah, I'm sure you guys remember that. At the same time, she sat up. Once he reloaded, he fired more times at her. All right. So what the left has done is the left has dehumanized Jews. They also did that with J6ers. Now you have this latest horror of this anti-Zionist and activist for Palestine. He decided that a bunch of Jews had to die, and they had to die now. Why? Because they were marching in support of hostages who have now been held for over 600 days. How dare they? Guys, the truth is Hamas is here in the United States of America. And this is what I want you to understand. When you hear these stories, or when you hear people that say, I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm just anti-Zionist, and that goes for some conservatives, young conservatives that I heard on the right, you better be aware of these fools. You better be aware of these fools. Other types of crimes that have happened against Jews recently in the name of anti-Zionism is tearing down a public menorahs, making threats to Hillels on college campuses, spray painting hateful messages on synagogues. These are things that are happening. The governor's mansion is not an IDF base. The writer writes, a young couple are not IDF soldiers. A parade of elderly Americans calling for the hostages to be released is not an IDF commando unit. Here's the problem. There's no differentiation. There's no differentiation. These people will hunt you down, whether they're Islamists, whether they are left-wing ideologues. The left is raising up killers. And all of you conservatives, all of us fellow patriots, Americans, better be aware of this. You better stick up for the Jews, because I'm telling you right now, the Islamists are coming for you, and these left-wing ideologues are coming for you too. All right, so welcome back. All right, so this is again, these people that say I'm not anti-Semitic, but I'm just anti-Zionist. These are morons. These are idiots. These are evil people. There's no differentiation. Again, you had the governor's mansion is not an IDF base, as this writer writes. A young couple are not IDF soldiers. A parade of elderly Americans calling for the hostages to be released, is not an IDF commando unit. But there's no differentiation. It doesn't matter. And this is what makes this type of terrorism so dangerous and so different, because it's spontaneous. It's completely unpredictable, except you can predict this, that the left has raised violent people. We see it with Antifa. We've seen it with the BLM rioters. And now it's a different, think of this murderer, this Rodriguez murderer, that killed these two innocent Jewish people. Actually, one was Christian, one was Jewish. They were getting ready to get engaged. But this is a guy that was an ideologue, brainwashed by the left. I mean, this stuff is disgusting. One of the core tenets of Hamas and every other anti-Semitic terrorist group is that there is no such thing as an innocent civilian. So you have to keep that in mind. When you think about Gaza, think about Hamas. They shield their rockets using people. All right? They shield their rockets. They rather their rockets be safe. They built their bases and all that kind of stuff in hospitals, schools, and all that kind of stuff. They want people in the way. They want casualties so Israel can get the blame for it. These are very evil people, and they believe that Jews everywhere are legitimate targets. But so are Christians. So are Christians. Now, I want to talk to you about why this is so dangerous in the political sphere. On May 27th, the DSA Liberation Caucus, this is a self-described Marxist-Leninist Maoist caucus within the Democrat Socialists of America, declared free Elias Rodriguez and all political prisoners. Political prisoners. This is the guy that executed the young couple in Washington, D.C. Now, again, Rodriguez shot and executed Milgram as she attempted to crawl away. But in the minds of this political group, he's the political prisoner, even though he executed two people, innocent people, in cold blood. Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib is a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. The DSA gave New York Congresswoman AOC a conditional endorsement in 2024. She was happy to take it, by the way. The DSA withdrew their endorsement of Texas Democratic Congressman Greg Cesar in 2022. And then you can find a list of lower-level DSA office holders as well online. It's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. That's the Democrat Party. If they think like that, who's their enemy? Republicans? Conservatives? Other people of faith? I mean, we've seen this play out before. On a separate note, Sunday's terror attack appears to be just about the most stinging indictment of the Biden administration's immigration policy. Again, this guy, Mohammed Sabri Solomon, was arrested and taken into the hospital. Minor scrapes, all right, after his attack on the Run for Their Lives group that was gathering on Pearl Street. Solomon is an Egyptian national who overstayed his visa after entering the U.S. during Biden's administration. 3 Homeland Security and U.S. ICE Customs Enforcement agents confirmed Solomon first arrived in the U.S. after landing at Los Angeles International Airport in August of 2022. Man, that's eerie. It's eerie. I mean, I fly into LAX at times. That's eerie. He was authorized to stay through February 2nd, 2023. He never left. On September 9th, 2022, he filed a claim with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. On March 29, 2023, he was granted work authorization. So he was authorized to stay through February 2nd, 2023. He never left. That same year, just over a month later, or just shy of 2 months later, he was granted work authorization, which was valid through March of this year. So he overstayed his time again. I kind of don't want to show you video, and I kind of do, because I think don't fall for the left's. The left doesn't want you to talk about people of color and all that kind of stuff, because when they come to kill you, you won't have anything to say. Gabe, I want to play cut number 2. As much as I don't want to show people this, I wish somebody would have put a bullet in his chest. But I think it's important for you to see, because you don't know what evil looks like. You don't know when evil is going to occur. You don't. Whenever I go out, my family and I'm always, I mean, to a point of paranoia. It's probably not healthy. I'm not going to lie. But I could tell you what, I don't think anybody's going to sneak up on me, because I'm just keeping my head on a swivel. And honestly, I don't think it's that much. I just try to be aware of my surroundings, and you should too. I'm sad. This is the world that we live in. We live in a fallen world. And I want you to go out and enjoy life, but you have to be aware that evil exists. Let's go to cut number 2, Papa Gabe. Like nothing. Wants to be seen. That's Mohammed Sabri Solomon. Again, I knew his name wasn't going to be Tom or Tim or Tyrone. I knew it. As soon as I heard that Jews were attacked, I knew it. And you know the truth? You knew it too. That's why we can't bow down to political correctness. I mean, this is sick. This is sick stuff. It really is sick stuff. Oh man, it's so frustrating. Now let me bring you to another aspect of this that I want to talk about real quickly, and I want to play video clip number one. If you can get this, this is why I think this stuff is so dangerous and why it's going to spread. I talked about the political affiliation. You have again, you have Rashida Tlaib, a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, an organization that was literally calling, what were they calling the murderer in basically saying he was a political prisoner. And then you have this, and then we'll play, if you can get cut number one ready. You have people like Andrew McCabe, former deputy director of the FBI, saying, "Listen, we can't jump to conclusions." If that's the type of training that you get to become the deputy director of the FBI, what a crappy organization. I think it's under better control with Patel and Bongino, but obviously they got a lot of work to do because there's a lot of people in that building that probably shouldn't be in that building. And frankly, I'm with Stephen Friend. I believe the FBI should have been torn down in the first place. But having said that, this is why this stuff can happen to you. You've got a complicit media. You got an former FBI director that's on CNN on national television. Yeah, they don't get many views, but still, they have an audience that listens to them. This is a guy that had authority that people might respect on the left, saying nonsense like this, spreading more division. And what did he say? All right. Listen, if Comey, McCabe, and others in the FBI would have focused on real domestic terrorists instead of J6ers, instead of Trump, this probably would have never happened. If Biden would have or the auto pen would have closed the borders, this probably wouldn't have happened. Yesterday, you had Andrew McCabe, again, former deputy director of the FBI, an acting director between James Comey and Christopher Wray, who contended that the FBI was rushing to judgment by labeling the event an act of terror. Jessica Dean, she was the CNN anchor. She said, "Let's go first to you." Speaking of Andrew, I'm kind of is standing out to me just in terms of a law enforcement perspective right now is that the local authorities are saying one thing and the FBI is saying something slightly different. And then McCabe chimes in, yes, that's never a great start. I think the press conference that we saw, one thing was abundantly clear is the local authorities, and I'm not sure we got the name of that person who was speaking. He seems to be a chief or somebody in charge there. Dean says yes, saying yes. McCabe, yes. He is really being very, very careful. And I think that's the right approach at this point. They don't have a clear idea that they're willing to communicate to the rest of the world yet of even exactly what happened, who was there, how they were attacked with fire, and what the purpose or the motive of the attack might have been. So he was very, very clear to say that they're not drawing any conclusions about terrorism or anything else at this point. If you can't name the enemy, you can't defeat the enemy. And I'm sorry, Islamists are enemy of Western civilization. Ben Williamson, assistant director for public affairs at the FBI, responded on X. The guy shot at Free Palestine while throwing firebombs at a crowd of Jewish people. We correctly referred to an investigation of terrorism. We'll continue to do so, and we have zero interest in what either of these CNN guests have to say. Kick rocks. Perfect ending.